Good evening and welcome to the August 4th edition of Beyond the Headlines. My name is Colin Dowe and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this evening's program, wherever you're joining us from. So you're looking at us on GBN television, logged on via any of our social media platforms, or listening on GBN radio. Thank you. You're the ones that make this program special, and we're happy and excited to have you with us. So whether you're out west in California, good afternoon to you, or you're in somewhere on the east of us where I can say good night or good morning, welcome to this program. It's Carnival Countdown. We're in the final stretch, as it were, and we're going to be looking this evening at some operational issues as we get into the Carnival Countdown. With us this evening, we have our repeat guru on Carnival, the Chief Executive Officer of the Spicemas Corporation, Mr. Cecil Noel. Cec, welcome.
Thank you, Colin. Good evening to you and your viewers and listeners, wherever they may be, locally or abroad.
Excellent.
Happy to be here.
And of course, if we're talking operations, we have the officer in charge of operations of the Royal Grenada Police Force, Superintendent Paul Chirstopher. Superintendent, welcome.
Thank you and welcome, and a special good evening to your listening and viewing public.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you. I know this is your first time on Beyond the Headlines, but it's such a critical role that the RGBF plays in ensuring that our carnival is rolled out successfully. So thank you for coming on and sharing your insights.
Thank you.
Just to kick off, because I know we're looking at the countdown, but I need a recap. And this will go to your both of you, really. But just to kick off with you, your assessment of events thus far. And this is Cec now. I'm not talking to the CEO of the Spicemas Corporation. Yeah. Give us your impression of the music.
Well, let me start by saying the impression of what has gone just far. I am really happy, if I may say, and satisfied in terms of the events that has gone to, events that have gone past thus far. Whether it's from the preliminaries and we are now into the final stages. I think when we look at the preliminaries, power, groovy, calypso, as well as the semi-finals, one of the things that two of the things that really stood out for me. One is the quality of the songs, the actual performances of the artists themselves. I think in terms of the competitions, lyrically as well as from a musical standpoint, I think we have moved up a notch. But as I said, one of the real standout for me is the attendance. Okay. I think as an artist myself, when we have the audience such as we had for the events coming out and giving the support, I think it really sends a signal, one, that they are in tune with what's happening in terms of the artists, the performances, but more so they are really, into the vibes to ensure that Spicemas, the best mass by far, is in fact heading to be a tremendous success in terms of the spectatorship.
And it probably speaks to the quality of the music, because if we look at the groovy semi-finals and the turnout there, the power semi-finals, I guess you can see the power wasn't really a surprise. But likewise, the calypso, the good, strong attendance.
Yeah, very, very, very strong attendance. And you are correct, because what it says is that when you as an artist do good work, you actually attract and influence the audience to come to see you, to hear you. And that's why I'm saying it's a really good sign. And if it's something that we ought to judge from, I think the finals are going to be fantastic. Because, talking to a number of people, including people like yourself, when we saw the numbers in terms of attendance, let's just think of the semi-finals. I believe the numbers that we had this year, although there isn't a final count as yet, but from all indications and talking to people, the numbers were greater than what we had over other years.
Absolutely, and hope it's not a case of the noise in the market is not an indication of the sale. We had good noise in the market, and hope that is revenue generated for the SMC.
That's correct.
All right. Superintendent, your overall impression, but I want to ask you, what's your favorite song?
All right, probably I'll probably tell you at the end of the session.
You're not judging, Superintendent.
But I don't want any artist to say that the police is giving preference to anyone. So I make sure that I stay as an adjudicator.
Very enough.
But yes, we've been having a good year, and I just want to speak to Mr. Noel's comment. I must say that Mr. Noel has actually charged the RGPF, and not only Mr. Noel, the general public and the participation in all the events. And I say that because our traditional plans as it relates to security for those events has been a little bit minimal prior. But this year, as I said, Mr. Noel and his team and the Grenadian public has charged us. We have recognized that we have to up our game. We are seeing more persons coming to the events, and so the fact that the big week is fastly approaching, we had to look at our plans, because we do expect massive attendance, and so we have the mandate to police those events, and so we have to look at our strategy and actually look at it in terms of going forward and how well we really produce that. So in a general sense, we have been forecasting, and that is important as it relates to security and policing. You must focus. It wouldn't turn out to be what you focus, but of course the fact that you can plan and plan in advance, plan ahead for what is to come, we have been looking at that, and we have been doing that very well so far. And the fact that we have focused, we definitely is up to the task as to what is to come for the next few weeks with Spicemas activities and other activities.
Okay.
So we are definitely poised and looking forward to the year.
All right. Says, we spoke of the crowd, we spoke of the music. Any other comments that you want to share as you assess the semifinals in general, that semifinal weekend?
I would just want to hinge a little bit on a comment of Superintendent, because it is extremely important to note that from a Spicemas standpoint, we have had a number of engagement thus far with the police, and it's an absolute pleasure to sit here and say that our Commissioner of Police is very much on board with what happening, very in tune, and very active in terms of ensuring the engagement.
So the police is just not telling you no.
And as he said, they were really charged, because the bold step were taken both by myself as the chair to engage the commissioner request meetings, and we have had a series of meetings, and I will say they were all very successful in terms of the discussions. And if we were to even look at what happened at Children's Carnival Frolic, I think it went beyond just the discussions. Of course, like everything else, there's going to be some room for additional improvement, but if we were to use what happened at CCF, I think we're in for a really good cooperation and coordination in terms of what we do in relationship to what the police will do.
And what are you referring to now? Are you referring to the street parade, or are you referring to crowd management? Which aspects are you thinking
generally, from the street parade, and when I talk about the street parade, I will want to make mention of even what happened 2 Saturdays back at St. Mark.
We'll get to the traditional mass as well, but let's just zero in, because you mentioned the CCF.
So from the street parade, we had the communication with them in terms of where we're going to start the parade, what is expected of them, and they were there for most part, and I say for most part, like everything has little hitches, to make sure that the children, we were able to have the children line up, we were able to come on street on time as we asked, and the traffic being taken care of, diverted as it needs to be, and in other cases regulated, to ensure that with the children on the street, they were safe, the parade was able to run smoothly. And then when we got into the stadium, the whole question and in terms of the deployment of people, whether it's at the gates such as Greenbridge or Gate 6, but all the gates taken care of, and then at the actual entrance to the venue in terms of the building, we saw that. And I tell you, anywhere you sat at the stadium, you could have looked and you could have seen the presence of those clumps of police officers there. I had the opportunity where, for example, depending on what happened, pick up the phone or make a call or be in a VOC at some point with them and say, can we do this, can we do that, can we make change, and they were done. So I think it was really, really good in terms of a coordinated effort, not just for safety and security, but for the smooth running and operations of the event.
Okay, smooth running and operations of the event, Children's Carnival Frolic, your overall impressions?
Excellent. And again, I stand and I say the one thing that I was hoping will be a little earlier was the end. And it's not that it was terrible, but again, in terms of the production, production team, I think, did a fantastic job. And when we, at that point, 6 o'clock, we already had the mass finish, we had the pan finish. But in my opinion, it really took a little longer than expected to get the calypso going. And again, really and truly, there were some technical issues really not on the part of Spicemas, in terms of the services provided. But outside of that, I mean, we look at the quality in terms of the performances and how smooth things went, whether it's the marshals assisting with the production team to get the children line up on stage. It was fantastic because what we did, once we came off the parade on the street, the children were lined up, went on stage, starting with the traditional mass, and it really flowed well.
That seemed to have run smoothly.
Very much.
The timing between the bands, do you believe, the steel bands that is, do you believe we can tighten on that some? And then, of course, you did mention the lapse between the panorama and the start of the calypso.
Well, put it this way, we can tighten on some, but I'm very happy to say I was really pleased with the turnover of the bands themselves. I mean, there really weren't much time between bands getting on and off stage.
But we also had huge bands. I mean, we have bands coming in with 100. We had one band topping up with 100 players.
Yeah,
and they had more than 100 pieces and the 70s. Yeah. So I think these were the largest junior bands, certainly in my recollection, that I've seen on stage.
Yes. And I'm saying all of that, and bearing in mind, we basically had one ramp to get on and off. So I thought the production team, along with the helpers, the pan people, and so they did a fantastic job understanding. Again, we met with them, we explained what is expected, and I think they did a tremendous job.
Can we realistically expect the Children's Carnival Frolic to finish by 8 p.m.?
Yes, I can see it, and I'm telling you, for example, the delay between the steel band competition finished 6.
Right.
And the time it took to start the calypso aspect, definitely, if that started even 15, 20 minutes earlier, we'll be out of there by 7:30. And that's the reality. Yeah.
Okay. Let me, just as we are on the CCF, Grenada has moved to celebrating Emancipation Day on August 1st.
Yeah.
In 2026, August 1st is the Saturday that is traditionally the Children's Carnival Frolic. Yeah. What are we going to be doing about the CCF in 2026?
Well, it's kind of a little early for me to say, because I think part of it may be some level of policy decision. But I do see CCF as carrying on as it ought to be, meaning on the 1st. I don't see, in my opinion, I don't see the need to be changing it unless there's some other major event planned for the 1st. But I see it as continuing having it in this case, on the 1st of August. Some changes will have to be made in terms of public transport and so forth. But who knows, maybe it will be a blessing to have it on the day of the holiday.
Okay.
Yeah, I like to see it as positive. Maybe some opportunity for some great thing to happen back then. Yeah.
Duly noted. The Traditional Mass Festival. Your thoughts as to how the festivities in Victoria unfolded?
Again, it was awesome. It was awesome. We had approximately 19 traditional mass bands participating. A combination of Shortney, Veco, Wild Indians, Apache, and you list it. And I saw some creativity coming out of that really, just kind of blow, not just my mind, but the people that was there. And I dare say, again, it was a large audience. The people came out in the numbers, supported it. But the creativity in terms of the costuming of the traditional mass band, we have grown accustomed to, let's say, seeing the vehicle dressed in a particular way. But when you see what they brought, the changes, the creativity that they explored and brought to life.
That's really your way of saying my band got beaten into third position again. Yes, we accept that. But the costume was fantastic.
It was. And for me, one of the things that stood out, the amount of little children I saw playing. Because for me, carrying on the legacy of our rich culture, traditions is key. And there's no better way to do it than to include those little children I saw playing. I mean, it was a similar thing again, even at the CCF, even with the Fancy Mass Band. I saw some little babies there. They apparently they didn't even know how to dance, but they were there walking around and enjoying themselves. And I think it's a very good sign in terms of what we want for our Carnival, in terms of its growth, in terms of our culture moving on. Because as I've said recently, a lot of the people are involved really are elderly folks. And part of what we do at Spicemas, even when the communists ask them to try to get younger people involved, get the children involved, grandchildren involved. So I'm happy to see that. But it was really a spectacle there. And again, the whole process in terms of the way the parade run, where we started, the route we took, and how it culminated with the St. Mark's Food Festival. It was something well planned, orchestrated. I mean, we sat with the committee on several meetings, make sure everything went and planned well. I mean, and we had folks in St. Mark willingly agreeing, hey, we're going to come, we're going to do this, we're going to marshal. And these are some of the community spirit that we like to see came back, and they did a fantastic job.
Okay. And again, I think strengthening of the committee will be important, and I know I will say for you, if we get that education aspect of the traditional mass incorporated, then we'll be just where we want to be.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
And we got to move on it.
Excellent. Superintendent, your assessment and from the standpoint of the corporation of the parish and village activities thus far.
All right, good. Thanks. If you don't prepare, when it comes to operation, you definitely are going to fail. And last Saturday, or last Friday, in fact, I think when everybody else were probably relaxing and having a good time home, Mr. Noel, myself, and a large team, persons who are going to be involved in that activity, the Children's Carnival Frolic, we were at the stadium, right? We were crossing the T's and dotting the I's. And hence the reason for a great production on that day. And that is what the police organization is all about. We definitely we have to collaborate. And as Mr. Noel alluded, we had a number of engagements, a number of meetings, a number of what we call, in our language, we call site visits. We ought to go and see what may happen. We ought to go and see where the anomalies may lie. So we had that probably about a good almost 3 hours engagement at the stadium on that day, with every aspect what was going to affect the production of that event. And so hence the reason why we find that great event, and that actually spills off to the outer parishes and the activities. What they do engage the committees from the parish level. So all the carnival committees, they will meet with the divisional commander in that particular division, Eastern or Western, as the case may be.
Right.
And so they would meet and organize, plan, know what each other they are doing, how they want to do it. Because everything you do when it comes to those events, there will be traffic implications, there will be security implications, and challenges as challenging as this event was last Friday. You are dealing with children. Dealing with children, and that even make it more challenging. we are securing the elder and another persons as well. But we know what children can do. They are in the streets parading. They are happy. They are jolly, and they could just run across the street. So again, the challenges that comes with it, especially that event, I think is phenomenal. And I said we extend that throughout the entire country, dealing with those committees, and so that we have these events coming off so well.
So the cooperation from the villages and the parishes, I want to get from a parish committee standpoint, the divisional leaders and of course the various carnival development committees would have met. Right. We also have a number of village activities. So if we're looking at St. George, Pandy, Vendome, St. Andrews, like Lafayette, I know that the Gove is Gove, right, and quite active. What has been the engagement and rollout of these types of village activities, as you have seen, from the Pandy, Woburn, Lafayette, others?
Very interesting question, and that takes me to the point where persons apply for permission to host those events. Now, when we have these events of that magnitude, we get the promoter, the organizers, to really have a sit down, whether they come in or we meet them, as the case may be. So the process is very similar. We ought to go out there and meet them, because as I said before, what they are going to do is going to have a number of implications: security, traffic, persons in the community, what you like, that other person may not like. We are getting the complaints, but we tend to pull it with balance. We tend to pull it, well, here is it's Carnival. It wouldn't be forever. And so the engagement, not only, it wouldn't only go from the police to the organizers, but we also want the organizers to go through your village and say, hey, I'm having that little activity here. It's going to go on for a couple hours. Let's try and be tolerant, because you will get the complaints going back and forth.
Right.
So the engagement is extremely important from all different levels, and that is what we do to really police those events, be it the Spicemas activities and or the village communities.
Have you had any challenges that stands out, or you more or less satisfied with the rollout?
Well, generally, we must say that we are satisfied generally. There are sometimes, persons transgress a bit, but again, at this kind of time, we want to exercise some level of flexibility. But of course, we want to urge persons, though, shouldn't go overboard. We are actually looking for compliance, first and foremost, compliance. This is not the only Carnival. You may want permission, you may want to have your activity next year. So we urge you to comply.
Right.
But as I said, flexibility and so we understand the whole issue of Carnival. Persons want to enjoy themselves, but we want to ensure that what we do it in a peaceful manner, and also we want to do it with some level of balance. We should not be selfish to the other persons. Somebody coming from Grenville and they probably going to the airport to drop their sister, or probably going to the hospital or so. You having your activity, we urge you to allow the persons to proceed. Right. They don't want to be involved in that, so and that's their right. So we really implore upon those persons having these activities, allow the free flow of traffic at all times. We never know who probably who could be in that motor car.
What about some of the bigger vehicles, bigger activities? So we look at, I think last weekend or the weekend before, you had Juve in July, in St. Andrew, in Poultry. They also had various artists having launches. So there were a couple in Malmount in St. David, you had in Shantimel, you had in Fur. How have those activities been rolled out, and how have you been able to keep all constituents happy?
Okay, good. Great question. And it really brings out how the RGPF normally plans. So at the beginning of every year, we have what we call our calendar of events. And we will get the Juve in July let's say every year. We will get the guys from St. David's. We will get the guys from such as Sinai and Crave, etc. We will get those. So what we do, the calendar of events, we list them and we plan them. And so persons, the divisional commanders start planning for those events very early. Again, I want to speak of the issue of engagement. We ought to engage them very early, whether or not you're bringing in a foreign artist, how much foreign artists, and so we ought to know who is coming in, what kind of impact is going to have on our environment. I think you understand the direction I'm going. We are now having some artists where they have been refused in certain countries. So we ought to know who you're bringing in, and we need to know that very early, so then we can take the relevant actions in that regard. We could be guided.
Right.
So I was saying the calendar of events that is being done, and the planning starts very, very, very early, because we expect those to come in, and most of them, they do apply. That application comes into police headquarters very, very early. So what we call, officers will go out, get the persons, go to the venue, see what the venue look like, and actually set down a security plan, set down the amount of officers that is needed to police the event, traffic implications involved, and also security. So that has been done, and most events, they are actually synonymous to their home, if I should call it. Juve in July is always at Moonlight City. Right. You have Crave at 4, etc. Sinai at Chantimal. Right. So not much work has to be done in terms of the venue, but we still do go over that, because what you find, you just never know, some new thing may just spring up there. Right. So you need to ensure that on the day in question that you are quite comfortable to police it. You also have to look at the resources involved. Resources involved in terms of the personnel to do it, because most of the time these events really require 40-50 police officers to really police.
And I think you had a new challenge this past weekend, because at one of the events I observed there was a fire, and the fire brigade had to respond, and from all reports was a good response, quick response, and praises came from the promoters, but that was a new and different challenge.
Yes, it is, and I think persons should really take heed in the context of what I think it was good work from the police within the Western Division, because if the traffic personnel and the other officers was not proactive and really take charge of the situation in terms of persons situation, but the parking, if the parking was bad, the fire tender was definitely would not have been able to really get to the fire. So again, planning, and I want to urge persons, while we may be hanging out and want to have fun, and we take our vehicles, we park where we're not supposed to park, it definitely could have some very some implications that we really don't want.
Right.
And thank God to the officers, kudos to them. They actually had the parking in order, so that a vehicle as big as a fire truck, could pass to really go to what it had to do. And I think the RGPF should be commended for that as well.
So absolutely. So I saw the public praise, and we give praise on this platform as well, in terms of the speed of the response and certainly the safety to all concerned. Just in speaking of responses and blocking of the streets, there were comments early on coming from Prime Minister on, the people playing Juve started early, and the blocking of the roads. Was that call a blessing or a challenge for the RGPF? Sometimes when people start playing Juve and you tell them they're playing too early, they come out in larger numbers. So what really was the response from the population, and certainly the response from the RGPF to keep all citizens again satisfied and living in harmony?
Right. All we had had to do was to engage persons, and then that we do, and we thought that was a civil thing to do. Places where where they had traffic implications, we spoke to the persons who were playing the music, etc. Because if you recognize the area down by the stones, actually you realize it just died out on well, not on its own, but we had officers speaking to those persons, and eventually it somewhat died out. But our approach was engagement with persons, and much persons understood, and I think we're in a much better place now.
Okay, excellent. Viewers and listeners, it's actually time for our first break, so we'll take our first break and we'll be back. We have with us Superintendent Chirstopher and, of course, the CEO of SMC, Mr. Cecil Noel. We'll be right back.
Whether you're refreshing a bedroom or giving your home a bold new look, the Color Shop has the perfect paint and tools to make it happen, inside and out. With quality finishes for every surface and accessories to match, we make painting easy from start to finish. Whether it's a DIY weekend or a contractor starting a brand new project, the Color Shop is the trusted choice.
Are you longing to taste authentic, flavorful dishes from Thailand? Then look no further. Konthai, the newest restaurant located at the back of Galleria Mall top floor, is the place to satisfy your taste buds for Thai dishes that are well seasoned with fresh local spices. They offer a great selection of sumptuous dishes that will tantalize your taste buds. Visit Konthai today because the food is good, the ambiance is great, and the staff friendly. Available on Carabites and Yogo Grenada. For more information, call 456-0074 or visit konthaigrenada.com or stop by the new Galleria Mall, Grand Anse St. George. I'll meet you there.
Grenada. Exciting news. Oasis Pet and Garden has expanded. In addition to our existing location, we're now open at our new location, Melville Street, St. George's, now serving you at 2 locations for even more convenience.
At Oasis Pet and Garden, we bring you the best products at the best prices nationwide. Check out our garden department for the best quality Pro Mix potting soil, vegetable seeds, and seedling trays, cocoa peat, liquid fertilizer, granular fertilizers, and more. Our livestock and livestock products are the highest quality and the best prices in Grenada.
Welcome back, viewers and listeners. It's Carnival Countdown on Beyond the Headlines. Says there's an excitement in the air, and we spoke of the patronage by our population for the events of last weekend, the semifinals. Not this past weekend, but the one before. Speak to us a little bit on visitors. Any indication as to numbers, hotel occupancy, that type of thing?
But I can't give you, I'm not in a position to give you specific numbers or percentage increase, but what I can tell you from our discourse with the people in the hotel industry, it is phenomenal. And I'll tell you why. Anyone now, and I mean anyone now looking for a flight to come in, it's a problem. And if you have to get a flight and you're looking for a place to stay, is a problem. And I'm saying that
so people are making job decisions, because Spicemas can never be a bad decision. So they have a flight but no accommodations.
No, but all right, but I get you. But the point I'm making here is that by virtue of Spicemas as a product, I think we have done so well over the years, and our marketing strategy, the whole ploy in terms of raising the bar of Spicemas. I mean, we talk about the best mask by far, but we don't just talk it, we act it. And by virtue of that, I mean, and I know I probably said this on a previous program, last year, August 27th, when we were doing our prize giving ceremony for Spicemas that ended on the 13th, we were engaging some hoteliers where we were, and they were telling us already there were over 70% occupancy for this year.
Okay.
Now, I'm saying that to make the point that months ago, we had engaged some people even to come in to do some work for Spicemas, and we have been having tremendous difficulties getting them in, to the extent where we engaged the GTA, and let me say, thanks to the GTA, to the chairman, Mr. Dolan, and the new CEO, Stacy, and her team, because as a result of some of the challenges, when I call them, I remember them saying, we probably need to be looking for additional airlift. And in fact, my understanding is that they were successful at getting that. Because as to be quite frank, we tried bringing in some people for ourselves. And although we were able to get the flights now, due to the additional airlift, it's still a challenge getting the beds, the rooms. So that in itself is an indication that, you know, the country is basically sold out in terms of the expected guests coming in, whether they are returning nationals or whether they're altogether visitors. So that is a really good sign for us in terms of numbers. Even when I look, for example, at the sales on GoToFet in terms of tickets, it's going really well in terms of, you know, people purchasing online overseas. So I do expect that we'll have some bumper numbers at other events. As I say, I can't give you and tell you it's 30% over last year, but definitely.
We'll be able to crunch the numbers after Carnival.
Yeah.
The airport reception, there seems to be a good, strong effort, and Chairman Dolan made the point when he was on last, but there seemed to be a good, strong effort to have things Spicemas upon arrival.
That is correct, and again, that's why I say kudos to him and his team and the new CEO, Stacy Libert, because we worked together and we had a strategy, we had a plan. As a matter of fact, it started since before Petra Roach departed. We started working on it, and I think Stacy just fits straight into it, and she seems to be a really good team player. So what we have done working with the marketing team is to ensure that when you arrive at the airport, you're supposed to see and feel Spicemas, and that is exactly what has happened. You know, we have contracted someone to make sure the airport looks Spicemasish, if I may say so. So it's a really good feel, and as the flights come in, you know, the different entertainment and different things that's going to be happening, people will get to witness our own local culture, and that is the plan, to ensure that you don't just come and wonder what's going on, but when you come, from the time you land, you're supposed to get a feel and the vibes to take you through to the 12th.
Excellent. So let's go through the 12th. All right. What can we expect? What's coming up? So what's coming up, when and where?
Next big event, Majestic Thursday. The Queens will be at their very best. And it is one of the events, I think, that in terms of a build-up, you have seen great build-up from the time we did casting call and the ladies were selected. So they're going to be on, I mean, they're going to be judged in different categories, whether it's swimwear, their talent, their speech, their costume, you know, so it's going to be a really fantastic event. The young ladies, they have been prepared. I mean, we even had one of the top regional pageant coach coming in to do training with them, Mr. Richard Young from Trinidad, and with all that preparation, all that has been done, as well as the backing of what I consider a really great committee, you know, headed by Ms. Tessa McQuilkin. A lot of work, a lot of effort went into the preparedness of the young lady. So we are urging people to really come out on Thursday.
What's the start time?
Start time is 8 p.m.
8 p.m.
And it is extremely important. Again, we listen to people, we learn from the past. And what we have done this year is to have a separate stage built that is going to be used for the Queen pageant as well as the Emerge Dimajka. It is one of those, or I should say, those are two events that call for that intimacy with the audience. So at this stadium this year, the cricket stadium, we have two stages. There's one large stage that was used for Kiddies Carnival, and is also going to be used for Soca Monarch and Panorama, and that is facing the main pavilion. I mean, for those of you who were there on Saturday, you get a feel for what it is. And then we have a more, as I said, intimate area, that is the Royal Lewis Junior Murray Royal Lewis stand, where we're going to have the Queen pageant and the Dimajka. I could tell you about the layout. You're going to have the different villages in terms of what will be the semblance of the VIP area. Like you saw, for example, Kiddies Carnival, we had a whole little children village, whether it was a Bouncing Castle. So we're going to take it to that another level. And again, we have done that for different reasons. We know there are other events that are going to precede the Queen pageant. We want to make sure it's, if I may call it, sanitized area when we go Thursday. So we urging everyone to come out, support the young lady. I mean, there's a lot more that can be said, but we want to have that element of surprise.
Excellent, and you can have that. Will Miss Karaku and Pidi Martinique be ready? I know that she had some medical challenges. I believe. Would she be?
She will be ready. And if I tell you I am up to speed with all of the treatment and how the ailment is coming on, I'll be telling a lie. But I know efforts are being made to ensure she's ready. And from discussions with the committee, there's no indication that would not be the case. Okay. Yeah? And so even the reigning queen, she is already on island as well. She came in to make sure that she does her duty in terms of crowning the new National Carnival Queen.
Excellent. So we move from Majestic Thursday to Bacchanal Friday. What can we expect?
Just as it says,
please, good.
Please mash up, as they say, but we don't want it mash up. We want people to come out and enjoy. And again, Bacchanal Friday starts 8 p.m. And I like to say it this way: it's actually two shows in one. There's no reason why anybody would want to miss it, because you have the Groovy, that is an event by itself. Meaning, you know how you have all 12 artists gonna be up, and that competition, like the Power Soca, it's going to be really, really strong. And I'm talking strong in the context when you check the lyrical contents of those groovy songs, when you check how close competitively the artists are. I think the general public is in for a treat on the night. We know they usually come with all the fancy presentation to help whip up the crowd and everything, and we expect nothing short. And likewise in the case of the Power Soca, I mean, again, we listen to the artists and we understand how the competition, or I should say we have a feel how it's going to go in terms of the performances. It's going to be close, I think, again. You can't sit here and give kudos or say any one artist seem to be ahead. But I think when you listen to them all, I mean, we all have our feel, whether it's from a divisional standpoint. And I say divisional meaning you're going to expect the people from Sutter's to be down. You're going to expect the people from St. David's to come through, the people from St. George to come through, because it's a really good mix.
Hey, don't leave Guava out, huh?
It's a really good mix, Guava. And when we talk about all the parishes are well represented. And I think with that mix, it really gives a great indication in terms of not what the performance are going to be like. Because really and truly, sometimes you take it that it's just a performance, an artist to artist. But I think it goes beyond that. Sometimes you have that performance and that competitive feel between parishes, and by virtue of that you expect the artists to do well, and then you expect the support they receive from the people in the parishes to really elevate and help, cause it to be an electrifying event.
Okay, and then we move into Fantastic Saturday.
Yeah, and Fantastic Saturday we're looking at 8 of the nation steel band coming to compete. And again, if we were to take an indication for what happened on Saturday at the Junior Panorama, we are definitely in for a musical treat from the steel bands. So we're urging people to come down. It's going to be fantastic. fantastic, and we really urge people to come and support. And we know for most part, you look and you see there's a very large, I wouldn't want to use the word contingent, but in terms of the age group, a lot of children, a lot of females, a lot of them in the mix.
We've had that, but not necessarily the numbers on a panorama night. We have seen good, strong support for pan activities leading up to panorama, but on panorama, you almost seem to get lost in the stadium. Can we expect stronger numbers, one, and two, will there be a production and additional entertainment to go along with the steel band competition?
Yes, we expect strong numbers, and again, we expect strong numbers based on what you just alluded to. Some of the other events that were done by the Steel Band Association, some even in collaboration with Spicemas, we had things like Pan on the Sand, Pan and Cuisine on the Carnage, and I think once we have those events, they set the stage in terms of people getting a taste and want to come to get some more. So we really do expect that. In terms of our production, we have one of our top producers doing the panorama, as is the case for the Mardi Gras, in that of Mr. Francis Urias Peters. And yes, the production of the panorama is one that's supposed to allow for a smooth flow of events without any break, anybody missing a beat.
So we won't have any dead air?
No dead air.
Thank you.
And that's the expectation. So we ask you to come out. I am also aware that, as I said on previous occasion, efforts were made to get some quizzing as part of it, again, coming out from some of the events we had. I noticed in Mark team they're working towards doing that. It's a matter of just touching base with them to make sure everything is on schedule. And I'm saying that in the context because we want to invite people, especially the visitors who will be around, to come and enjoy some of what we have in terms of a cuisine.
Right.
To come and have a taste of it. So we're trying to get that mix.
So we don't play in the new national dish of chicken and chips and going back to some of the traditional cuisine.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're really hoping that that would help to, together with the production, to help make it a fantastic event.
The Mardi Gras. 7 p.m. kickoff.
That was something debated, but what we have, I want to make sure I'm saying it right, I think it's 8 p.m. CEO is supposed to know better. It's 8 p.m. I think we have on the ticket.
Okay, I know because I know you have the King and Queen of the bands, along with the Calypso competition.
Yeah, no, but so the King and the Queen of the bands, and we are asking them to be there early. And I know Mr. Peter at the time. As a matter of fact, we're going to have a meeting with them, so they are going to be there earlier. So when you talk about the 7, yes, they're expected to be there even earlier. I think maybe around 6:30. So the pre-judging and so will take place. So when we say 8, we actually get into the real flow of the event.
Okay.
Yeah. And as I said before, it's going to be on the Junior Murray Roller stand where we have that intimacy, and we expect to see that area completely filled with Calypso lovers as well as people who are into the creative to see the King and Queen of the bands.
Okay. Monday morning.
How we like to call it, organized chaos.
Organized chaos.
and we're really hoping that the organized chaos, will have some greater semblance of order. And I see that, and I'll be very honest. We try to get people to produce
the Juve.
Everybody seems to be afraid of it. So, but we are working with that team, and we're going to work, because what we have done for most part is engage the bands, the Juve morning bands. So in terms of what we're going to do, where we're going to do it from, we're going to have the actual parade for the Juve morning commencing at the Montpande intersection. We are very mindful we may start a little more around the Port Louis intersection, because we were made aware of serious, what should I say, safety challenge we may have on that slope coming down by MTV.
Yes.
So we were forced, again, in collaboration with the police, we look at it, and we, for the safety of people.
Last year there was a problem.
There was a problem.
And with oil in the road,
and those big
trucks. Yes.
So all of that, again, we walked through, we did it, and so we're gonna have them starting at the foot of that little slope, and we're gonna cross. Now we actually asking people to start gathering as early as 4:30, and we want to, for the latest, by 5 o'clock, Juve will start.
Mr. Noel, you've had an excellent track record for the season thus far of on-time starts. Anyone accused you of starting late, they were no more than 5 minutes after the published start time. Will we see this for Juve?
We will. And we're going to see it, and what we're going to do, for example, I mean, we're still just looking at the exact time we're going to do the crunch, and we will let the public know. But it's going to start, and it's going to start with fireworks. So once you see that fireworks, it's going to start. And when I say it's going to start, because what we have done this year is to organize trucks that, quote unquote, Spicemas is responsible for.
Okay.
So when we say let's move, it's no sticking, to use that term.
Excellent.
That is how we intend to really manage and ensure the start comes off as we want it to.
Okay, excellent. Monday night mass, would we be able to have an on-time start, and what is the projected start for Monday night mass?
8 p.m.
8 p.m. for Monday night mass.
Yes, and again, the route we're going to start from around Lexus area. We're going to have the first band in approximate vicinity of Lexus Inn, going back to the Grand Anse Post Office.
Okay.
And when 8, we're going to have that start. And again, we met with the bands by themselves. We met with the bands together with the marshals and police, and these are some of the discussions we had. Okay. So people are fully aware. So whether it's the Monday Night Mass Band or it's the Fancy Mass Band that's going to be on the road, people will be assigned the marshals to work with them. They will understand what's happening. We have already sat with them and indicated that we expect that by 8:30, 8:45, bands should be in the vicinity of the Mount Pandey area coming into Kirani James Boulevard. That's the expectation. That's the discussion we had with the bands. And they have been very receptive and cooperative thus far.
What would you do to make sure that the bands remain on the road? I mean, Grenada is probably the only carnival, and I know Superintendent is pleased with this. Grenada is the only carnival I know that police doesn't have to close down, because we have from 4 a.m. on Monday morning until midnight on Tuesday, and the police don't have to shut anybody down midnight on Tuesday. You know, how do we keep Carnival alive? I'm not going to Tuesday yet. On Monday night, if you efficiently run the bands from 8 p.m. and you say by 9:30 they're crossing the Kirani James Boulevard, it means that we're not even making midnight. What other activities do you have planned to ensure that Carnival festivities are ongoing? And I say this because if a void is created, someone will fill it, and it might be filled by something that we don't want.
But and the truth is, I mean, I will answer by saying this. First of all, let me just take the opportunity to indicate some time in terms of management and structure in terms of what we're looking for. So as I said, the Juve, we're asking people to get themselves gathered, prepared early so we can kick off a move. By 9:30, Juve is shut down. It will be shut down. The music will stop. People will be expected to be going home, because by 1 o'clock we are going to have the traditional mass on the parade route for pageant, that I should say, on the Kirani James Boulevard. Again, I am making the clarion call to the general public. The traditional mass, it's a fantastic view, it's a fantastic presentation. Come out and support them. We don't want it to be as last year, where the bands came out in the numbers and we had a really great display but no audience. We are asking people to come out. So that starts 1, by 6 it's finished. By 8 o'clock, the Monday night mass start, and we come across the road. We expected that by midnight, we should have the parade, if not completed, close to completion in terms of the last band crossing the last judging point.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And I mean, and you ask the question, and we are very mindful that Carnival is not just Spicemas. We work as best we can with promoters, and we know there are other events and other things that are taking place elsewhere. But I think for what's going to happen on Monday, there's enough to keep the audience out, and maybe enough to also encourage them to take a break and come back Tuesday.
Very well, we certainly would hope so. Just before I go over to Superintendent on some of the regulations that we would want to see, Old Mass, what are the provisions for them?
I must say, maybe I will say it and use the word a little bit disappointed, because despite some of the efforts being made to get the Old Mass on the streets for Juve morning especially, from what I'm seeing, we will have, but not the numbers that I expected. We work very closely with the Lions Club this year to ensure we give them the necessary support to ensure that they also put on an event. And even then, as we know, it was not as great in terms of numbers, participants as we expected. And from the numbers for registration for on the road, it is not what we're looking for. And again, it's something that I think maybe from a ministry standpoint, maybe from a cultural standpoint, we need to work on. Because if you notice, even over the years, the people who are involved in playing the Old Mass are elderly folks.
Right.
And I can't help but mention Mr. Hall, who is now 92. I mean, he has been behind me, telling me what he's going to do, explaining what he's going to do. And probably we'll have people like his son Peggy are around, and we have people like, if Daniel Williams is around, a few people, stalwarts that have been there playing over and over. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's some. It's
Has there been any engagement with Timber? Because I know it's basically.
Yes. But even then, and I'm saying that even then, because I have had engagement with Timber, I have engagement with the president, is it president or chairperson? Mm-hmm. And again, it's an elderly person.
Right.
You know, I'm reaching out to people like Cafe Bull, but somehow, I'm not sure if it's just the interest. I know there were some other concerns, but for most part, something needs to be done to really revive Old Mass, not just the way it used to be, but to go beyond that. Because Old Mass is a critical element of our society and the messages that it portrays, because it tells some story that from a societal standpoint we need to know, we need to hear. So I really hope that something is done to help, you know, propel and get the Old Mass back to some level of acceptance.
Okay. Superintendent Chirstopher, traffic, stadium, how are we going to be dealing with that? What can the public expect?
Okay, so our traffic plan for the National Stadium is somewhat unique to all big events at the stadium. So obviously, when you enter in the stadium, you will be entering from the western side, the western entrance with Cherry Hill, to go around to the Grand Lake side, right? So that is basically the entrance to the stadium. But there are some other events, some other traffic events as it relates to the stadium. Now, if you are VIP, you will be entering from the Green Bridge. The Humbag Bridge.
Humbag Bridge.
Right? So you come up the Humbag Bridge and actually make that left right there. The other parking, which will be at the Wesley College school grounds, as I said, you will enter from the western end, and you will be directed. There are signs, and there will be police officers along the route who will guide you and park you.
Okay.
Right. The other parking, as it relates to the athletic stadium parking, these are parking for officials. And so you will be guided there. There will be police officers there, together with Spicemas officials, who will basically be managing that aspect as to, you know, who are their officials. That is their officials. So they are going to guide that process. But we will be there to assist at the gate and also to.
So the general public, Wesley College grounds.
Yes.
VIP, I guess, will be closer to the cricket stadium, so they come over the Humbag Bridge.
The Humbag Bridge.
And everyone essentially comes across the Green Bridge, takes a right on by the pump house, Cherry Hill entrance area by the athletic stadium.
Once you are going to the
And
once
then
you are going to park,
right.
you are going to Wesley College.
Right. So Wesley College, and as well as for the SMC officials, they would take an immediate turn off again to the right for the athletic stadium.
If I may just interject a little bit here. Based on what have occurred over the years, the perimeter of the stadium in terms of parking area are primarily going to be for, let's say, officials in a broad sense, whether it's VIP, whether it's government officials and so forth. So whether it's going to be when you take that left from the home bridge, or if you come to gate 6 by Grenlec,
right.
or you go onto the athletic stadium park, it's primarily for that. So you have the Wesley College ground, and once that is full, we have also sent requests in places like Ariza. We have to the ministry for like places like Tantine, Old Trafford and so forth. And those are the areas that we will expect people to park and be shuttled in, because that's the service we're going to be offering this year.
So you do have a shuttle service,
yes, we have a
from Ariza and from Tantine area, Old Trafford.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so first option, first come, first serve,
First come, first
would be
serve,
Wesley College grounds,
yes.
and the spillover, Ariza, Old Trafford.
And so, yeah.
Okay, all right. Superintendent?
Yes, so that's it. So that's the plan for parking for this year's activities at this year. So we want to urge persons to be mindful. As I said, the first come, first serve is at the Wesley College ground. So if you want to come, I want to encourage you here to come early, get a good park close by, and you don't have to park and walk. Because we know persons, they really don't like to park and walk. Right. So I think it is some sort of it is comforting or some sort of encouragement to have persons at the stadium to have
Let me also
we encourage them as well to carpool.
Carpool, yes.
They need to, we really want them to be able to carpool. And the question of carpooling is for various reasons, right? People are going to have fun. The less people we have having fun, including the consumption of alcohol and so on, the more people come in vehicle, the more we expect, something may go a little whack. The less, I think it's something that will happen. So we really want people to carpool and be able, so you have a designated driver. And the other you come, you're having fun. That's what it might end up being. So, those are some of the things that we really encourage them, because there's a lot of areas that carpooling will help us with. I mean, I would even go as far as to say we know the whole question of the enjoyment part. The Grenada Transport Authority
Commission.
Yes, they too are working along with us, so they're going to have a sober zone, and I'm really happy and thank them for coming on board to do that. And again, it's all in an effort to make sure that you come, you enjoy yourself, but when you're ready to leave, you should be in a better state in terms of how you behave on the road.
And you ought to be able to manage.
Better. So those are some of the things we welcome. So when we have, those collaborative efforts, we really do applaud them.
Superintendent, we heard of incidents in St. Andrew during the semi-final where a number of vehicles were broken into. What will be security like at the parking areas?
Parking areas as reached to St. George's. Yeah?
Yes.
Right. So the areas we will get the areas to, especially Wesley College. There is no lighting there, but we will be getting in collaboration with Spicemas.
There's light.
Right. So there's light. Okay, good. So that's perfect. So the lighting actually would really deter persons from that. But all the other areas where we are doing parking, we are expected to have police officers doing patrols and making checks, and even static duty there to avoid those ugly incidents raising their heads in St. George's and any other part of the country where there is carnival activities this year.
Okay. Monday on the road, any traffic regulations that we should be aware of? How are you routing traffic? Because we know the route. If we're talking Monday, Juve, we're looking at Port Louis area going across through the Carnage. Monday afternoon, similar, a little bit further back for Monday night mass.
Right. So the arrangement basically will be the same. It's just that the timings will change. Juve morning, there will be no parking, no waiting all along the route. Actually, from let's say from Panday or the bottom of Port Louis.
Right.
So there will be no parking, no waiting in those areas, and the route continues right through Port Highway, around the Carnage, that continue to right up to Old Nawasa, come around, and that also go up to Scott Street, Howard Blaze, go right back to Tantine.
Right. So
these areas definitely will be no, because the trucks, some trucks will be using that area, some trucks will be turning.
Right.
Some may be able to turn, some can't.
Right.
But these routes definitely they will remain no parking, no waiting for all the events. As I said, the timings obviously will change because the parade of the band will be a different time. But basically, the Monday night will be a different time. But this is the route, and we will be manning that route for no parking and no waiting along that route. We want to allow the revelers to have a clear path, and so the packed vehicles could cause a problem for persons.
What consequences will there be on the route, and when you have alternate routes? Because, for example, I know you probably will be channeling traffic through, let's say, the Belmont area or Springs, right? What type of enforcement to those regulations will we see? We'll also see additional traffic in coming towards the back, so Springs, the Grandlands Valley route. What type of enforcement will there be? Are we going to see ticketing, clamping, towing? What are the consequences?
All what you actually had alluded to here, you will see all of them. But in addition, what we would have, especially those routes, what we would want to use is our motorcycles, right? Especially in the Springs, the Springs road heading to the south, persons probably coming from the lane and want to go Springs. So we want to ensure that route remains clear and passable. So the easiest vehicle for us to use would be the motorcycle. So they will be using the motorcycles. In relation to the other areas, again, as you mentioned, we will be clamping, we will be ticketing, in fact not too much clamp, because we really don't want to continue the obstruction.
Right.
But the record service, we will definitely has to kick in that regard, because the obstruction will remain the obstruction.
Right.
And we believe that some of the obstructions could be dangerous for masqueraders and the big trucks really passing. So we will be looking at that. But key to that, what we would want to do is to have early deployment of officers on the ground. And that in itself will have a number of things.
Right. So
we are working on that. In fact, today we had our meeting with all commanders, the 2 ICs, etc. And these were some of the things that were advanced, and that will make your work easier for you. Early deployment of officers on the ground, hold the ground belongs to you. That definitely will make things easier on the ground.
Drunk driving. So from drunk driving to unlicensed, uninsured vehicles, etc. Says talk about a sober zone at the events that the Transportation Commission has taken lead on. But a message to people who are going to go overboard and still want to get behind a vehicle or come out in a vehicle that ought not be on our roads. Our
breathalyzer team will be out, and we will be engaging persons. In that regard, we really want to send a strong message out there. We actually seen the accidents and the incidents which are caused by vehicles, and so for the Carnival season, we really want to implore upon persons. Carpooling, of course, is extremely important. Having a sober driver is even more important. And so our breathalyzer team right around the country, they definitely will be doing a robust work in terms of trying our best to curb those issues. We know persons will be consuming alcohol, but we want to urge persons to consume what you can control, or don't consume at all, or the other alternatives have a designated driver. But we know the dangers of it because it affects everybody. There's an accident, the ambulance is involved, the police is involved, the fire truck is involved, everybody is involved, and these are resources that has to be pulled together. The streets are not motorable as we like. Plenty of people, things happening, stars here, etc. Probably where that accident or incident occur, probably might be difficult for those emergency vehicles to get there. We don't want to reach that stage, so we were looking to prevent as much as we can, and not having to get to that.
Okay, viewers and listeners, it's time for a final break. So we'll take this break and we'll come back. We're doing the Carnival. Well, not quite a wrap up, but it's the final days, the countdown to Carnival.
Attention all divers, snorkelers and underwater enthusiasts. Effective May 15th, 2025, all visitors to the renowned Mullinair Underwater Sculpture Park will be required to pay a small fee of US $3.50 or EC $10 per person. These fees are essential to support the ongoing maintenance and repairs of the sculptures, as well as the development of new features to ensure the park remains a world-class attraction. Payment can be made through the Grenada Tourism Authority's online payment portal, available on the Pure Grenada website, www.puregrenada.com. We thank you for your support in enhancing this extraordinary underwater product. This announcement is brought to you by the Grenada Tourism Authority and the Ministry of Tourism, dedicated to protecting and conserving Grenada's resources for the enjoyment of all.
Distributed by Echo Blue Limited. Visit us on the Lansopine Main Road or call 405-4818.
Need to check your bill balance? Use the Grenlec mobile app. Open the Grenlec mobile app and tap the icon labeled Balances at the bottom of the screen. View your bill details, including your current bill balance, the due date by which you must settle your bill, the amount and date of the last payment you made. It's quick, easy, and available 24/7. Convenience at your fingertips.
Welcome back, viewers and listeners. Carnival Countdown. We have with us Superintendent Chirstopher and Cecil Noel, the CEO of the SMC. Cec, before I go into some of the final wrap-up, let me just mind your business a little bit. So share with us, what is the biggest cost for this weekend, upcoming Carnival weekend, outside of prize monies?
That would be logistics in terms of setup.
So stage, light, sound.
Stage, lights, sound, those definitely are the biggest costs.
Okay. Yeah. Have we had any changes to prize monies in 2025, or it's the same as we would see?
It's for most part it's the same. We had just some minimal changes in some areas, some increases, for example, the Train Carnival Frolic, some increases on traditional mass, but for most part, the major prize monies for the major events remain the same.
Has the Queen Show prize monies changed any? I know there were some calls there.
We made some change last year, and we made again some minimal change in terms of the subventions and so to them.
Okay. Yeah. Do you anticipate a narrowing of the deficit. If you can get a profit, that's fine as well. But I think last year we looked at a deficit of circa 400,000.
That's correct.
Are we going to see a reduction in that? Are we going to hit the black?
No, I think we are heading to do much better, and I'll tell you why I'm saying that. Spicemas as a body working in conjunction with the necessary person on the board, I think we were able to really make a good case to government and had the evidence that were required to really substantiate our efforts which started last year in terms of asking for some more. And I'm happy to say that from all indication, from the report I've received, we will receive more from government.
Define more. We're not going to let more.
We are expecting 3 million from government this year for Carnival, as opposed to the one we had in the past.
And the budget for Carnival is about 2.7 million.
No. The budget itself runs way beyond that. It's more like 5.3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So between gate receipts and other sponsorships.
Sponsorship, and so I do expect that we'll be able to pay our bills and have something.
Okay, excellent. How has sponsorship? Have we seen increase in sponsorship?
Yes, we have seen some increase in sponsorship, and the figures we're looking at so far, we just over 300,000. I mean, our aim for this year was 500,000, 500,000, but we may not hit it, but I think we'll get close to it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So as I said before, we have that. We have gate receipts. We have things like the license fees that help. So I think we will.
And there's been good compliance from the promoters in terms of registering the various events and paying the licensing fee.
Very, very good compliance. We have not had any issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cleanup. Because we have to be responsible as good Grenadians. I notice I've been speaking over and over about people playing juvie. I never mentioned people playing jab, because I know a jab will not litter, will not deface building. That is dirty people playing juvie. I make the distinction between the two groups. I'm clear on that. So how make an appeal for solid waste to get the support from masqueraders as well as from vendors?
And I'm happy to say, over the years, we've been having meetings, discussion with people like Solid Waste Authority, even some of the other bodies such as the RGPF. We also had discussion with the Ministry of Labor in terms of work permit. But I just make mention of the collaboration because one of the areas that came up that really needs some attention is that of what happens with our waste management. And again, with the discussion we have with Solid Waste this year, they are really willing to go out to help to ensure that after our events, the question of cleaning up and disposal is easy. So I'm sitting here and I'm saying, even to the promoters, the Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority has indicated that let them know where you have in your event. They'll be willing to put on skip so that people can put the garbage in it and it then become easy to pick up. Because you see, we must be concerned about garbage because it's a serious health risk when we do not, align and do what is expected of us in terms of the disposal, collection. And I'm saying it because even in the case of the actual, in some cases, people clean up where they have the event, but do they go to the site and put it where they're supposed to? No. Sometimes it's dumped somewhere along the route. Right. And these are some serious challenges. So I'm really glad, to be here to speak on behalf of the waste management team. And I know there's a new association as well. I don't remember the exact name, but it has to do with that of the solid waste management. They have a new association, and they are working assiduously to make sure that things like the proper management in terms of the collection and proper disposal of the waste is taken care of. So I'm really throwing that out. Please let them know when you have a new event, when, where, and they'll be willing to assist to make sure that your life is even easier in terms of getting.
I neglected to mention 440-1252. That's the number you certainly can call in and engage Superintendent Chirstopher and Mr. Noel. plastic bottles, glass bottles, as well as your vendors, because they too are culprits. How are we addressing them so that Grenada remains pristine after the festivities?
We have really done some work at talking about Spicemas, because we have the green group, and I may not be calling the correct name, but you go around and you probably see these big bottles in the wireframe. They're going to be putting on some of those at different places as well to assist with that. But it's something that is really, really important. Again, going back even to the health aspect in terms of, as a vendor, please make sure you have all your certificate, make sure things are in place, so when you serve meals, you serve well. Make sure you have garbage bags or bins, so that the people who come to your vending booths can easily dispose of what has.
We have our first caller online. Good evening, caller. Welcome.
Good evening, Colin. Good evening to the and others. I must congratulate you on your shirt tonight. You look so nice. And
Thank you.
Also, yes, you look good. I also want to mention the jacket and tie that I see people on television with all the time. It doesn't belong to our climate. So I thought I must tell you how nice you look tonight and encourage other men to stop wearing this jacket and tie all the time. I ain't mean for Carnival only. But anyway, what I really want to say is Carnival for young people only? I'm an elderly, and Carnival was the best time of year for me. And I hear any provision being made for the elderly. Besides, tonight is the first time I heard Carnival come down. I didn't know Saturday was Kiddies Carnival. And it's the one time that one thing I enjoy, and I missed it. I'm wondering how you all could help us. We are the people who worked hard in the past years of Carnival, and you haven't included us. So I just want to bring that point out.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you for the compliment. As we speak of the jacket and tie, I don't believe this host wears tie very often. You would probably not see that. But let me also just make a call for a national dress that is both formal and otherwise. I would like to make that call in support of the observation that you made. Let's go. The elderly, seating arrangements, what type of provisions are we making for the elderly, the differently abled, and the young in order to be able to enjoy the festivities?
Well, first of all, let me say, it's a pity, for example, she was not aware of Kiddies Carnival, and I want to zero in on that, because although it's referred to as Children's Carnival following Kiddies Carnival, I know, as a fact, it is one of the events that the elderlies love to go to. So it's really a pity that she wasn't aware of that, because there were a lot of adults there, elderly people there, enjoying the display from the young ones. So it's as I said. But so it is one of the reasons why, for example, having our events where we have them is critical, because it lends to the support in terms of the elderly people being able to easily access those areas, whether it means having to ride the elevator at the stadium or by virtue of where they're going. Even the idea of having the Mardi Gras at that more intimate setting, all of that was considered to accommodate, quote-unquote, more mature and elderly persons. Whether it's going to be something to do with vision, something to do with hearing, we think that intimacy in terms of the proximity of the artist to the audience, all of those were consideration in terms of adults.
We have another caller, so let's take that. The caller. Good evening, caller. Welcome.
Yeah, good night, Mr. Dowe and Mr. Officer Chirstopher and Mr. the one from the steel band now, the chief, the name not coming right now. But anyway, good night. One issue I was going to raise, I think you mentioned it in response to the first caller, and that is the accommodation of people with disability. In Antigua, Carnival is today, and prior to Carnival, the organization dealing with people with disability has championed the need to do everything to facilitate people's attendance. The other question I want to ask is about the people who have made contribution over the years to Carnival, whether in the field of calypso, steel band, mass, and so on, who are now in the twilight or in the background. I mean, they're no longer as active. Is there any serious effort to ensure that these people are considered, even if it's one show and everything is done to accommodate them in at least experiencing the joy of Carnival? Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Seth?
No, I am. From where I sit, I'll be very honest. I cannot say there's any particular event that I know it's orchestrated or designed specifically for them. But I think it's a very important point, and it's something worthwhile noting. As a matter of fact, I was speaking to a very good friend of mine last night, and part of what he was alluding to that maybe we should try doing at some point is some form of a humorous aspect of calypso, or let me say song. And I'm saying that in the context, back then, the elderly folks, I think one of their greatest aspect in terms of enjoying Carnival used to be going to calypso tents. Because there they got the serious lyrical contents, they got a humorous one that just made people want to return. And I think it's some of the things we need to look at in terms of what we can do to still help our elderly folks to be a part of it and to be able to enjoy it. I know I made mention of the use of elevator and easily accessibility, but for most part we need to be mindful. The whole question of taking care of our elders go beyond quote-unquote what I would say what Spicemas is doing. Because if, for example, we do not have suitable facilities to accommodate our events, whether it's Carnival or whether it's some other cultural aspect, there will always be challenges.
And that's including the people who are differently abled.
That's including people who are differently able, because I think they all deserve to be a part of the enjoyment, but unfortunately it's not always the case based on the logistic support for them.
Okay. We have another caller online. Good evening, caller. Welcome.
Yes, good night, gentlemen. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Now, Carnival is coming up soon, communities, yeah? I find it's time that the Jab and them change the costume. In coming with tar and dot up the whole street and dot up the whole place, all the garbage afterwards. Why don't buy black pants and a black jersey? And join my Jab. You buy a blue pants and a blue top and you call yourself and have one next year. And don't have the whole area. All the street are only go dot up with tar, old that. And the other one leaving afterwards. You go on the beach, you show all the old garbage on the beach and they go and bathe in it afterwards. I feel it's time that we get wise and grow up as people, man. If we had the days gone by with tar, let me over this tar now. And get the place clean, always stay clean. The government had to decide the road painted black and white. In a while, they're going to paint it over again in a while. Tax doesn't have to waste again.
Thank you very much for that, caller. I'm hearing responsible treatment of our environment. And that responsibility is with all of us.
It is. And it's a very good point made by the caller. And I know from our engagement with some of the Juve bands, especially the Jab bands, what he's saying there, the job bands are working to addressing those in terms of clean up areas, in terms of, well, not even using the oil oil, but using other type of pigment that is friendlier both for the environment as well as the skin, and easier to clean. So I know it's something from discussion with them that they are doing. I don't have all the details, but I know some of the bands definitely are working towards improvement in that area.
Okay, all right. Superintendent, some open advice for our mass players.
It is a festive time, and so we do expect persons to enjoy themselves. But we want to say to the mass players that they are on show, and especially the persons playing the job. There are some persons who really want to come to town and remain clean. One of the things that is very not nice is on the Tuesday evening. You don't find much jab playing on the Tuesday evening, but on Tuesday evening, persons actually dress up in the nice clothes and they come to town, and just happen to pass against a wall, pass against something, and then they get.
We have the one last caller, so let's take the one last caller and then come back to you. Good evening, caller. Go ahead.
Good night. Yeah, I'll call back in case this about pan. Why doesn't have pan on the road until bring money and Tuesday Carnival? I find that Carnival is pan, not this big chock and thing, but the past years gone by, this big DJ chock and thing all over the place. Pan is more for Carnival than this big DJ chock. Let DJ chock turn around, put highway and go around the band, let pan take the Carnival and thing, or if you cut money night masses from, say one cut-off point is from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock.
Okay, all right.
Let the pan play around the time, wrong Tantin area, and they just slower jump than the DJ. DJ is fast
so
movement.
We got the point, because so thank you very much for that, and sorry for having to cut you. Says I'm going to give you. So let Superintendent continue, but then you have to address says pan in Carnival Monday and Tuesday.
All right. So what we are basically looking at, we have to be fair, and both sides must have expectations, and so we just want to masqueraders as well as onlookers, we just have to be respectful, to each other. So
some open advice for the general public and of course for visitors as well.
Right, general public and visitors. You will be searched, you may be searched, or will be searched probably about 3 or 4 times before you get to the National Stadium on big events. And that is a responsibility of our organization. So you're coming from Sautez or Grenville, I wouldn't tell you where you're going to get searched. You're going to get stopped and searched, probably check for license, your vehicle may be searched. This, I just want to let persons know, is all about your safety. It is all about your safety. You have absolutely nothing to do with the police and targeting you in any way or the other, but it's for your safety. You will get a soft ticket check, especially close to the stadium. Soft ticket check actually get to the stadium. When you get just entering the stadium, you will be searched again. You don't have to be frustrated over that. We just ask that you comply, because if we search you in Grenville, you could pick up something in St. David's and you get to the stadium. All we just need to do is to comply. It is for the safety of all of us. It is what we want to encourage for the season and ensure that we have a peaceful Carnival.
Okay. Says pan on the road Monday and Tuesday.
I would love to see it happen. But I think that it's a whole dynamic situation with pan on the road, and there are different reasons for that, ranging from quote-unquote the perceived disrespect that panmen feel they come up against when they're playing pan on the road and you have the DJ music blasting, and that's one element of it. But if I may just take from a historical perspective, in the past when you have the fancy mass bands playing, those bands were accompanied by steel band. For whatever reason, with the change, you now have most of the revelers having a preference for the DJ music. Now, I usually say when things like that happen, it's not about fighting against it, but I think it's about strategizing and come up with ways to encounter what's happening. And I believe what needs to happen is that the Stephen Association, along with the various bands, must be able to sit down and realize that here, what you're doing by not coming down the road, despite the challenges faced, is giving away, quote unquote, your birthright. So you need to regroup, you need to rekindle, and you need to come forward and let us work together. I still recall as a young guy playing pan, when you play in pan, the DJ had to turn down, and if they didn't turn down, they will be turned off and will be turned off for the whole duration. I have witnessed that, and there's no reason why it cannot happen. So I think it's a case of the panmen also making that very bold step to ensure pan is back on the street. You may not be playing, let's say, for a mass band because of the dynamics and the change, but you must not allow what is truly ours, which is having pan on the street, to be taken away by other people. So I will emphasize that they need to do that, and let us work to ensure that we assist them so that the DJs are turned off while the band is doing what.
And there is an audience.
There is an
follow
audience.
steel bands on the road, especially on the Tuesday. Yeah. Especially on the Tuesday.
Coming to the last lap, you know. Correct. People will prefer that. So it's a clarion call here on all parts. The DJ must respect the panmen. The panmen must also take the initiative and try to get on the road. And when I say try to get on the road, and when I say initiative, we can't be doing it the same old way. Don't expect that the people that I know before used to come, like my dad and elderly people, whether they're playing, to be pushing pants. So maybe we have to think of some creative way. I've seen it before. I know some bands in Grenada that tried it, where instead of having people laboriously pushing the pan, by something motorized, you can be playing, because I know that too is one of what kind of caused it to take a back seat. Okay. But we got to recoup and come.
Open advice to the general public says.
We want a safe, clean, enjoyable carnival for locals, for foreigners. We always boast of not just having the best mass by far, but one of the safest carnival in the world. We must ensure it remains. And I know for people listening probably saying, it's the same that I heard it said before, but there's no difference to a good story. The good story is one of the things that we have going for us. We have Spicemas, we have a cuisine that goes well, we have a traditional mass that goes well, and people love to be here with us and enjoy it in a very safe environment. Let us keep it safe.
As an organizer, I know basically Carnival is done for you, all right? Because everything is in place. It's a matter of a rollout. So what will Cecil Noel like to implement or improve on for Carnival 2026?
Big question. I would really like to see drastic improvement. The pan is one. I would really love to see that. And I'm seeing it even in the context. If there must be something to incentivize people to do it, I think it needs to be done. Because it is a critical element of our culture that needs to come back. I would like to see the traditional mass, and although it has been happening, still get more prominence in terms of what we do on the road. I would like to see the children be afforded opportunity to display their costume and so more on the road. And I'm saying that in the context. When I look at the Kiddies Carnival on Saturday, I was in awe looking at some of the bands. And I'm thinking, and I'm not going to be shy in saying it. You know, we talk a lot about what happening in terms of the fancy mask and costume, but when you see the children display themselves in that way with these nice costumes, why can't we inculcate and try to get them to do more of that and be on the streets? Those are some of the things I would like to see. I mean, there are more, but I think as a starting point, it is some of the things that will help to elevate and get people to start appreciating what is truly cultural and what is ours.
And as you spoke of the bands, of course, we saw the band in the name of the legacy of Peter Bain taking everything, and it was a good young theme because he was dealing with ICT and
oh, it was. I mean, and I don't like staying here as a CEO to song this way, but sometimes you have to. I think it was extremely creative. I remember sitting among some other elderly folks, and you know, they could have told, okay, this was YouTube, this was TikTok. I think it was an extreme extremely creative and inventive arrangement from the legacy of Peter Bain. Well done. And not that, I mean, when I look at the different sections, not only there were a lot of sections, but there were large numbers within a section. And I think that is a really good sign for us. And that's why I'm saying, if we can see that in Kiddies Carnival, we need to now have that translated where we see more of that within the full realm of Carnival Monday and Tuesday.
Excellent. And kudos, of course, to the organizers who's keeping not only the name of our cultural icon, Peter Bain, alive, but keeping it alive with quality, as was endorsed by the
and I can't help but adding the name Francis Redhill. I mean, I went to this gentleman's place, and it's awesome. He needs to have a whole exhibition of his own. It's a museum. I can't help but saying it. Mr. Redhead, 50 years, congratulations. Well done.
Superintendent, any final comments before we close?
Yes, I'm really grateful for that opportunity here this evening, because it definitely is important to give persons, a number of reminders, as I mentioned earlier, that they will be checked, and we urge persons to leave the offensive weapons, the knives, or the screwdrivers, or the scissors, etc. Leave those things home. There may be persons with licensed firearm, etc. You will not be allowed to enter those events with your licensed firearm. Well, not to even speak about the unlicensed ones, of course. So, we are really encouraging a peaceful carnival. We urge persons to be not go overboard. The officers will be tolerant, because we know it's carnival. Persons will be consuming alcohol, so we want to urge persons. Let us comply with the instructions. The road traffic signs. If you disobey the road traffic signs, it could only cause mismanagement in traffic. There are definitely reasons why they were put there. So we want to encourage persons. The wrecker will go with your vehicle, should you do those things, and that will definitely cause a number of inconvenience for you. I want to speak to parents with their children, especially during those times. You shouldn't abandon your children to go to the shows. The shows will always be there. If you have to do so, please find a responsible person to really keep the children in. And the old traditional way, the keys that we leave under the mat and in the floor upon, that has become a cliche now. You always say that, but we still continue to do it. And we definitely have been plagued with the property crimes, the house breakings, and we are plagued. There's no plague. We have no secret about it. It is high, and in a number of times it is by the owner's negligence. So for this season, ensure that you secure your property. Do not expose gadgets, etc. in your vehicles, which would cause persons to really break them. So on behalf of the Commissioner of Police and the executive and the rest of the organization, we have pledged to work with you for the entire season. Of course, SMC being the owner of the event, we are vendors to this event, and we are committed to have a safe Carnival 2020 to 2025.
Sas?
Let's have fun. Let's enjoy it. Let's do it being considerate of our brother or sister or fellow human being. And if we do that, at the end of the day, we will be always happy for what I will consider a successful Spicemas 2025. Not only will we say it, but we'll be living it, the best mass by far.
Mr. Cecil Noel, CEO of the SMC, Superintendent Paul Chirstopher, Officer in charge of operations, and to you, the viewers and listeners, thank you all so very much for making this an enjoyable evening, enjoyable conversation. My parting words is that Grenada belongs to all of us, so I'm going to emphasize taking care of our environment, enjoying ourselves in a responsible manner that allows for safety, security, and cleanliness. Take good care, have a wonderful carnival, and I look forward to seeing and being with you 2 weeks from now. We have no show on Monday coming, so it'll be the following Monday. Take good care, pleasant one.